Welcome to the Madison Miller Podcast. Today is Friday, May 7th, 2021. Today I'm going to recap yesterday's NBA, NHL, and Major League Baseball games. Look ahead to today and the weekend's games. We will go over the leaderboard at the Wells Fargo Championship. We will preview and predict all the NASCAR races from this weekend down in Darlington. We'll go over the latest news and notes. We will preview American Idol a little bit and my best bet of the day. First, we're going to do NHL today. We'll go over the games from last night. Look ahead to today in the weekend. Bruins over the Rangers 4-0. Devils over the Islanders 2-1. Penguins over the Sabres 8-4. Jeff Carter, a 4-goal game, amazingly enough. Maple Leafs over the Canadiens 5-2. Blackhawks over the Hurricanes 2-1 in overtime on a game winner by Alex DeBrincat. And the Canucks over the Oilers 6-3. All right, today's window. 7 o'clock, you have the Flyers against the Capitals. The Capitals playing for a division title here. Minus 196 favorites. Phillies plus 190 or plus 164. Over under 6.5. Overs plus 108. Unders minus 132. Flyers plus 1.5 is minus 146. Capitals minus 1.5 is plus 122. I'm going to go with the over 6.5 and plus 108. The Flyers and overs are synonymous. Although Capitals minus 1.5 is enticing too. Red Wings, Blue Jackets. Columbus is minus 154. Detroit's plus 130. Over under 5.5. Overs plus 124. Unders minus 152. Detroit plus 1.5 is minus 210. Jackets minus 1.5 is plus 172. I'm going to go over 5.5 at plus 124. I just think this is a higher scoring game than people think. Stars, Lightning. The Lightning are minus 172. The Stars are plus 144. Over under 5.5. Overs plus 104. Unders minus 128. Lightning minus 1.5 is plus 160. Stars plus 1.5 is minus 194. The Stars are 4 back of Nashville, not done yet, and a game in hand. But I really don't know. The Lightning are playing for seeding with Florida, determining of who has home ice advantage. Carolina, I think, has that division on wrap. I'm going to go with the over 5.5, that said, because I think there's going to be a lot of goals in this game. 8 o'clock, the Ducks and the Wild. The Wild are minus 330. The Ducks are plus 265. Over under 5.5. Minus 110 each way. Ducks plus 1.5 is minus 102. Wild minus 1.5 is minus 118. I'm going to go under 5.5 at minus 110. I just think this is a lower scoring game. 10 o'clock, you got the Blues and the Golden Knights. Vegas is minus 174. The Blues are plus 146. Over under 5.5. Minus 110 each way. Blues plus 1.5 is minus 188. Vegas minus 1.5 is plus 155. The Blues, I've yet to clinch. I think that they will eventually, but I don't know if this is the spot. Because Vegas is trying to hang on for their life in their division. But I'm going to go under 5.5 at minus 110. Avs, Kings. The Avs are minus 295. The Kings are plus 240. Over under 5.5. Overs minus 130. Unders plus 106. Kings plus 1.5 and Avs minus 1.5 is each way minus 110. I'm going to go with the Avalanche puck line minus 1.5 and minus 110. They just tend to blow out teams, and getting the puck line and even money I think is pretty good. And 10:30 you have the Coyotes and the Sharks. Minus 108 at Peach. Over under 5.5. Overs minus 114. Unders minus 106. Coyotes plus 1.5 is minus 310. Sharks minus 1.5 is plus 245. I'm going to go over 5.5 at minus 114. I know it's juiced. The market is finally catching on to this Coyotes over thing. So over 5.5 at minus 114. Saturday, 3 o'clock, NBC. Rangers, Bruins, and Sabres, Penguins. Depends on your local listings. I think the majority of the people will get Rangers, Bruins, because the Rangers are just better than the Sabres. That's what it comes down to. 7 o'clock, the Devils and the Islanders, the Flyers at the Capitals, the Lightning at the Panthers, the Red Wings at the Blue Jackets, the Canadiens at the Maple Leafs, the Senators at the Jets, 8 o'clock, the Hurricanes at the Predators, the Ducks at the Wild. 10 o'clock, the Canucks at the Oilers, the Blues at the Golden Knights, the Avalanche at the Kings, and 10:30, you got the Coyotes at the Sharks. All right, and then Sunday, only 2 games. 7 o'clock, the Stars at the Blackhawks, and 8 o'clock, the Senators at the Flames. Alrighty, now we'll move on to the NBA from yesterday and go over those results and look ahead to tonight and the weekend's games. Bulls over the Hornets, 120-99. Mavs over the Nets, 113-109. Wizards over the Raptors, 131-129 in overtime. That was a great game. The Pistons over the Grizzlies, 111-97. Pacers over the Hawks, 133-126. Warriors over the Thunder, 118-97. And the Clippers over the Lakers, 118-94. All right. Tonight's window at 7 o'clock, you have the Pelicans at the 76ers. This game was probably the ESPN game, and it got booted because the Pelicans are out of playoff contention. My projection is Pelicans as an 18.5-point underdog, total 226. Obviously, no Brandon Ingram. That factors in to this projected line. Meanwhile, they have it at 8.5. I'm going to lay 8.5 of Philadelphia. 7:30 ESPN, the Celtics at the Bulls. I'm at Celtics 5 total, 223.5. Meanwhile, it's Celtics 3. I'm laying the 3 with Boston. Magic Hornets. I'm at Charlotte 8.5 total, 218.5. Meanwhile, it's Charlotte by 9. We don't have a total yet. If it's anything higher than 220, I'm taking the under. And if it's anything lower than 217, I'm taking the over. The Timberwolves at the Heat. I'm at Miami 16 total to 22. Meanwhile, it's 6. I'm laying the 6 with Miami. Maybe they're banking on Jimmy Butler not playing. If Butler's out, then my projected line goes to 12, and I'd still lay it with Miami. The Rockets against the Bucks. I'm at Milwaukee 25 total to 28.5. Meanwhile, it is... Ooh, I don't see this line out anywhere. Oh, there it is, 16.5. I'm going to lay that with the Bucks. The Cavaliers against the Mavericks at 8:30. I'm at Mavericks 20.5 total to 19. Meanwhile, it's 10.5. I'm laying the 10.5. There's just a chance Porzingis might not play, and that brings my projected line down to 17.5, and I'd still lay it. 9 o'clock, you have the Nuggets and the Jazz. I'm at Utah 2.5 total to 24. Meanwhile, it's Utah by 3. If the total is anything 226 or higher, I'm taking the under. And if it's 222 or lower, I'm taking the over. 10 o'clock, the Knicks against the Suns. I'm at Suns 14 total 218. Meanwhile, it is Suns by 6. I'm laying the 6 with the Suns. Lakers Blazers, 10 o'clock ESPN. I'm at Portland 8 total 223. Meanwhile, it's Portland by 6. I'm going to lay the 6 with Portland. And last but not least, the Spurs against the Kings. I'm at San Antonio by 4.5 total 227.5. Meanwhile, San Antonio by 4. If it's anything higher than 229, I'm taking the under. And if it's anything lower than 226, I will jump on the over. All right, Saturday's window. 7 o'clock NBA TV, the Wizards against the Pacers. Pistons 76ers, 7:30. The Grizzlies at the Raptors, 10 o'clock NBA TV. The Nets at the Nuggets. The Rockets at the Jazz. Thunder at the Warriors, and Spurs at the Blazers. Sunday, 1 o'clock, ESPN, the Heat against the Clippers. The Heat against the Celtics. That is a huge game in the East. Holy crap. Big game in the East. And I believe Mark Jones and Doris Burke will be on the call for this one, because Mark Jones said it during whatever game he called Monday night. It was a Lakers game. It was against Denver. That's right, the Lakers beat Denver on Monday night. And that was, Mark Jones said he'll be calling that game with Doris Burke. And at 3:30, ESPN, the Knicks against the Clippers. This is probably going to be Mike Breen, Mark Jackson, and Jeff Van Gundy. I know everyone's going to be like, oh, favoritism towards the Knicks. Mike Breen. Probably. In a way. And it makes sense. And then I guess Kenny Albert would call it on MSG. because there's no hockey on NBC. But that is a good game, though, Knicks against the Clippers. Let's hope that New York gets back some of their players quickly in Burks for that one. I think if the Knicks get Quickly and Burks back, they'll beat the Clippers. And Heat Celtics, if Jaylen Brown's back, the Celtics will win. If not, I don't know. Because Butler and Brown, to me, cancel each other out for their absences. And there are very similar teams, those two, and it's fitting that they have an identical record. So, nice doubleheader on ESPN on Sunday. 7 o'clock, NBA TV, the Pelicans against the Hornets, Mavs, Cavs, Wolves, Magic, 8 o'clock, Bulls, Pistons, 10 o'clock, NBA TV, the Suns against the Lakers, and the Thunder against the Kings. All right, now we'll move on to Major League Baseball. We will go over the results from yesterday and look ahead to tonight and the weekend's games. Astros over the Yankees 7-4. Phils over the Brewers 2-0. Red Sox over the Tigers 12-9. Rangers over the Twins 4-3 and 10. Mets over the Cardinals 4-1. Indians over the Royals 4-0. Blue Jays over the A's 10-4. Braves over the Nats 3-2. Marlins over the D-backs 3-1. And the Rays over the Angels 8-3. All right. Today's game's 2:20. You have the Pirates and the Cubs from Wrigley. Trevor Cahill, Zach Davies. Both these guys have been terrible this year. I'd say the Cubs are probably around minus 150, and they are minus 148. Pirates plus 126. No total and no run line yet. But I really think that if the total is anything less than 9, I am pouncing on the over. 7 o'clock, the Nationals and the Yankees. Patrick Corbin and Jamison Taillon. The Yankees are minus 194. The Nats are plus 162 over under 9. Over is minus 118. Under is minus 104. Nats plus 1.5 is minus 122. Yankees minus 1.5 is plus 102. Patrick Corbin's been terrible this season. If it wasn't for that World Series, then this would be looked upon as a bust free agent signing, like I predicted a couple of years ago. So that World Series is saving this for being a bust in terms of a free agent signing. This is literally A.J. Burnett, in a way, if you're making like a Yankees comparison here. But my play for here is going to be over 9 at minus 118. I think it's a safer play. Even if it was at 10, I'd take the over. I think the Yankees will match against Patrick Corbin. Their offense will be better than it was yesterday. So give me the over 9, minus 118. The Red Sox at the Orioles. Eduardo Rodriguez and Matt Harvey. The Red Sox are minus 172. The Orioles are plus 142 over under 8.5. Over is minus 120. Under is minus 102. Red Sox plus 1.5 is plus 102. Orioles plus 1.5 is minus 122. I'm going to go with another juice over at 8.5 at minus 120. I'd even would take the over at 9. Diamondbacks, Mets. Zach Gallen and David Peterson. The Mets are minus 146. The D-backs are plus 124. Over under 7.5. Over is even money. Under is minus 122. D-backs plus 1.5 is minus 182. Mets minus 1.5 is plus 150. I'm going with the Diamondbacks plus 124 here. I love Zach Gallen. I think he's going to be a great pitcher someday. His ERA is 3.48, whip 1.16 at the moment. He should be better. And I think that he could pitch well tonight. So give me the D-backs plus 124. Although first 5 plus 106, I'd rather take the full game. The Reds against the Indians. Wade Miley and Zach Plesac. The Indians are minus 146. The Reds are plus 124. Over under 8. Over is minus 115. Under is minus 105. Indians minus 1.5 is plus 140. Reds plus 1.5 is minus 170. I'm going to go under 8 at minus 105. Miley's surprisingly been decent this year. And I think this is a good spot for Zach Plesac to get going a little bit. Next up, you got the Brewers against the Marlins. Brent Sutter against Trevor Rogers. A great pitching matchup. Miami is minus 138. The Brewers are plus 118. Over under 6.5. Over is minus 115. Under is minus 105. The Marlins minus 1.5 is plus 164. The Brewers plus 1.5 is minus 200. I'm going to go over 6.5 at minus 115. This run total is way too low. You're a bad start from one of these guys away from one of these overs teams taking the over by themselves. The Twins and the Tigers, Matt Shoemaker and Tariq Skubal. Twins are minus 148. The Tigers are plus 126. Over under 8.5. Overs minus 120. Unders minus 102. Twins minus 1.5 is plus 116. The Tigers plus 1.5 is minus 140. I'm going to go over 8.5 at minus 120. I know it's juiced, but it's the right call. 7:20, you have the Phillies against the Braves. Zach Eflin and Charlie Morton. The Braves are minus 180. The Phillies are plus 152. Over under 8. Minus 110 each way. Phillies plus 1.5 is minus 142. Braves minus 1.5 is plus 118. I'm going to go with over 8 at minus 110. Charlie Morton has not been the Charlie Morton of a couple of years ago. And Zach Eflin is off to a nice start, but I don't buy it. Over 8 minus 110. 8 o'clock, the Mariners against the Rangers. Chris Flexen and Mike Foltynewicz. The Rangers are minus 112. The Mariners are minus 104. Over under 8.5. Overs minus 118. Unders minus 104. Mariners minus 1.5 is plus 152. Rangers plus 1.5 is minus 184. Both of these guys haven't been that bad. I'm going to go with the Mike Foltynewicz and the Rangers at minus 112. The White Sox against the Royals. Carlos Rodon and Brad Keller. The White Sox are minus 154. The Royals are plus 130. Over under 8. Overs minus 112. Unders minus 108. White Sox minus 1.5 is plus 112. Royals plus 1.5 is minus 134. Brad Keller's been terrible this year. Over 8 minus 112. The White Sox can do that by themselves. Blue Jays Astros. Ross Stripling and Jose Urquidy. The Astros are minus 136. The Blue Jays are plus 116. Over under 9 minus 110 each way. Astros minus 1.5 is plus 146. Blue Jays plus 1.5 is minus 176. I'm going to go over 9 at minus 110. The Astros offense got going a little bit in that last Yankees game, and the Blue Jays offense has been good. So give me over 9 minus 110. 8:15, the Rockies and the Cardinals. Austin Gomber and Jack Flaherty. So Austin Gomber against his former team. That's a fun subplot. Cardinals minus 225. The Rockies are plus 108. Over under 7.5. Overs minus 106. Unders minus 114. Cardinals minus 1.5 is minus 102. Rockies plus 1.5 is minus 118. I love the over, and I like the Cardinals run line too. I'm going to go with the over 7.5 just to be safe at minus 106. 9:30, the Battle of LA, the Dodgers against the Angels. The Dodgers are only 2 over 500, which is amazing. Julio Urias and Griffin Canning. The Dodgers are minus 158. The Angels are plus 134. Over under 8.5. Overs minus 114. Unders minus 106. Dodgers minus 1.5 is plus 110. Angels plus 1.5 is minus 132. I'm going to go with the Dodgers on the run line plus 110. I think this is the bounce back for the Dodgers here. So give me the Dodgers run line minus 1.5 is plus 110. The Rays and the Athletics. You got Rich Hill and Sean Manaea. The A's are minus 146. The Rays are plus 124. Over under 8. Overs minus 105. Unders minus 114. Oakland minus 1.5 is plus 146. Rays plus 1.5 is minus 176. I'm going to go over 5 at minus 105. I think that both of these offenses will score a lot of runs. Rich Hill against his former team. So we have 2 pitchers against former teams. Rich Hill was an Athletic for a short period of time a few years ago before he was dealt to the Dodgers. And then you have Gomber at St. Louis. So over 8 at minus 105. And last but not least, 9:45, you have the Padres and the Giants. Blake Snell and Anthony DeSclafani. The Padres are minus 152. The Giants are plus 128. Over under 7. Overs minus 122. Unders even money. Padres plus 1.5 or minus 1.5 is plus 122. Giants plus 1.5 is minus 146. This is a statement series for the San Francisco Giants to prove to us whether they're the real deal or not. I'm going to take them here as a dog, plus 128. That's my underdog special of the night. So I'm going with the Giants, plus 128 at home against the San Diego Padres. Saturday, 1 o'clock, Nats, Yankees. Max Scherzer, Corey Kluber. That's a good game. Could Kluber keep it up? And Scherzer is still Scherzer. 2:15, the Rockies and the Cardinals. Chichi Gonzalez and Carlos Martinez. 2:20, Pirates, Cubs, Will Crowe and Trevor Williams. 4 o'clock, Fox Sports 1, the Padres and the Giants. Joe Musgrove, Kevin Gausman. Rays, A's, Tyler Glasnow and Frankie Montas. Twins, Tigers. Jose Barrios and Jose Urena, so the battle of the Jose's. 6 o'clock, the Reds against the Indians. Luis Castillo and Aaron Savali. The Brewers against the Marlins. Adrian Hauser, we don't know who's going for Miami. 7 o'clock, the Red Sox against the Orioles. Garrett Richards, and we don't know who's going for Baltimore. Mariners, Rangers. LJ Newsome and Dane Dunning. Diamondbacks, Mets. We don't know who's going for the Diamondbacks, and Joey Lucchesi is going for the Mets. White Sox, Royals, Lance Lynn and Daniel Lynch. Blue Jays, Astros. Steven Matz and Christian Javier. 7:20, Fox Sports 1, the Phillies against the Braves. Vince Velasquez and Ian Anderson. And 9 o'clock, the Dodgers and the Angels. We don't know who's going for the Dodgers, and Dylan Bundy is going for the Angels. Sunday, 1 o'clock, Nats, Yanks. Joe Ross and Domingo Germán. Red Sox, Orioles. Nick Pivetta, Dean Kremer. Diamondbacks, Mets. Riley Smith, and we don't know who's going for the Mets. Reds, Indians. Tyler Mahle and Sam Hentages. Brewers, Marlins. Eric Lauer and Sandy Alcantara. Tigers, Twins. Or it's from Detroit, I should say. Kenta Maeda and Matt Boyd. 2 o'clock, the White Sox and the Royals. Lucas Giolito and Mike Minor. Blue Jays, Astros. We don't know who's going for Toronto, and Zach Greinke's going for Houston. 2:15, the Rockies and the Cardinals. Herman Marquez and Adam Wainwright. 2:20, Pirates, Cubs. Tyler Anderson and Kyle Hendricks. 2:30, Mariners, Rangers. Justice Sheffield and Kyle Gibson. 4 o'clock, the Padres at the Giants. We don't know who's going for San Diego, and Johnny Cueto's going for San Francisco. Dodgers, Angels, Clayton Kershaw and Jose Quintana. Rays, A's, Shane McClanahan and Cole Irvin. And last but not least, Sunday Night Baseball, the Phillies against the Braves. Aaron Nola, Huascar Yanoa. Great game. Yanoa has been like this year's Max Fried and then the Soroka, like that emergence pitcher of this year for the Braves so far. This is a rematch of the terrible game that was decided on a call controversially at home plate. So it's only fitting that this is the game again from the same stadium where that happened. The Braves might be a dog here because of Aaron Nola. And I might take Atlanta in the spot against Philly as a possible home dog. All right, now we'll move on to golf, as we will go over the current leaderboard at the Wells Fargo Championship. Your leader right now at a score of 7 under. This is a big deal, guys. Phil Mickelson. Tied for second with 5 under. Keegan Bradley and Kyung-Hoon Lee. Tied for fourth with 4 under. Luke List, Tommy Fleetwood, Gary Woodland, Peter Malnati, Keith Mitchell, and Kyle Stanley. Tied for 10th with 3 under. Sungjae Im, Brian Harmon, Matt Wallace, Satoshi Kodiara, Brock Stewart, Hunter Mahon, Kramer Hickok, Patrick Rogers. Tied for 18th with 2 under. J.J. Spawn, Pablo Perez, Justin Thomas, Victor Hovland, who was my pick, Zach Johnson, Abraham Anster, Sepp Straka, Patton Kazir, Nate Lashley, Scott Stallings, Corey Connors, Joel Dahman, Rafael Campos. And there's a couple others in there as well. Matt Jones, Ben Martin, and Ryan Moore. Tied for 35th with 1 under. Mark Hubbard, Carlos Ortiz, Richie Wierenski, Troy Merritt, Ricky Fowler, Jamie Lovemark. That's an unexpected player in there. Joseph Barmlett. And a couple others here. Bubba Watson, Russell Knox, Adam Putnam, Bryson DeChambeau, Scott Piercy, Stuart Sink, KJ Choi, Taylor Hogue, Sean O'Hare, and Jonathan Vegas. Tied for 52nd at even, Ches Ravi, Robert Streb, Jonas Blixt, Ted Potter Jr., Scott Brown, Taylor Gooch, Joaquin Neiman, Patrick Reed, Walter Zalatoris, Caleb Schwartzel, Zhongjun Zhang, and a couple of others in there as well. Tied for 60th with 1 over. The notable in there is Wyndham Clark. Tied for 63rd with 2 over. In this tie is Ryan Palmer and Chris Koepka. Among those cut, J.J. Spawn, both Jordan Hahn and James Hahn. So both Hahns were cut. Evan Van Rooyen, Justin Rose, KJ Choi, Patrick Rogers. I know, now I'm looking at Valspar results. Scratch that, guys. So I went over, so the notables at even, Ches Ravi, Taylor Gooch, Joaquin Neiman, Patrick Reed, Caleb Schwartzel. Tied for 68th with 1 over Bo Van Velt, Doc Redman, Cam Triangle, JT Potson, Jason Day, Patrick Cantway, Ian Poulter, Lucas Donald, Tyler Duncan, Harry English, Rory McIlroy. Tied for 95th with 2 over. Evan Van Rooyen, Harold Varner III, James Hahn, tied for 109th at 3 over, Mackenzie Hughes, C.T. Pond, Adam Hadwin, DJ Tron. Tied for 129 with 4 over, Lucas Glover, Tom Lewis. Tied for 138th with 5 over, John Rahm, Lucas Hubert. Tied for 145th with 6 over, Dylan McCarthy. Adam Long, J.B. Holmes is in the tie for 151st with 7 over. Henrik Norlander is in the tie for 153rd with 9 over. And Danny Lee withdrew. All right. Now we will go over NASCAR as we will look at the races as they race from Darlington this weekend. And I'll start with the Truck Series starting lineup. As your pole sitter is John Hunter Nemechek. And Austin Hill starting in second. Row 2 is Zane Smith and Ben Rhodes. Row 3, Doug Gilliland and Johnny Sauter. Row 4, Stuart Friesen and Chandler Smith. Row 5, Matt Crafton and Haley Deegan. The rest of it, Tanner Gray, Austin Wayne South, Corey Heim, Carson Hosfar, Sheldon Creed, Tyler Ankrum, Grant Effinger, Ryan Truex, Ryan Reed, Derek Krause, Timothy Peters, Eric Darnell, Akinori Ogaeta, Chase Purdy, Cody Rohrbach, Timmy Hill, Danny Bowen, Spencer Davis, Corey Roper, Chris Wright, Jordan Anderson, Dawson Cram, Tate Fogelman, Spencer Boyd, David Gilliland, Parker Kligerman, Jennifer Jo Cobb, Bailey Curry, BJ McLeod, and Norm Benning. Alrighty. And to DraftKings I go for a pick for this race. And I'm going to go with somebody that's starting in row 5. He's a promising driver. And I'm going to say Matt Crafton at 14-1 to win the LiftKitsForLess.com 200 from Darlington. And now the Xfinity starting lineup. In the pole, you got AJ Allmendinger, Austin Cindric in second, row 2, Jeb Burton and Justin Haley, row 3, Noah Gragson and Riley Herbst, row 4, Daniel Hemrick and Harrison Burton, row 5, Brandon Brown and Matt Snyder, and then the rest of it, Ryan Sieg, Jeremy Clements, Brent Moffitt, Tommy Joe Martins, Timmy Hill, Justin Alger, David Starr, Jay Buford, Landon Castle, Michael Annett, Josh Williams, Brandon Jones, Alex Labb, Josh Berry, Colby Howard, Kyle Weatherman, Brandon Govic, Jeffrey Earnhardt, Ty Gibbs, Joe Graff Jr., Jesse Little, Matt Mills, Ryan Ellis, Ryan Vargas, J.J. Yeley, Tanner Berryhill, Greg Goldling, B.J. McLeod, Bailey Curry, and Matt Jaskell. For this race, I'm going to go with This is a tough one. This guy, I don't think he's won a race all year. I've took him so many times. He's finally getting a start in the top 5, and that is Justin Haley. I'm picking him at 15-1 to win the Steakhouse Elite 200 from Darlington on Saturday afternoon. And last but not least, the Cup Series. That will be on Sunday, which is Mother's Day. They never used to race on Mother's Day, but this year they are. As Brad Keselowski will be starting on the pole, and alongside him will be Kevin Harvick. Row 2, Kyle Busch, Martin Truex Jr. Row 3, William Byron, Chase Elliott. Row 4, Denny Hamlin, Matt DiBenedetto. Row 5, Austin Dillon, Tyler Reddick. The rest of it, Chris Boucher, Joey Logano, Michael McDowell, Kyle Larson, Daniel Suarez, Ryan Blaney, Kurt Busch, Ross Chastain, Alex Bowman, Ryan Newman, Chris Bell, Chase Briscoe, Bubba Wallace, Cole Custer, Anthony Alfredo, Eric Jones, Eric Almirola, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Ryan Preece, Corey LaJoie, Justin Haley, BJ McLeod, Cody Ware, JJ Yeley, Quinn Houff, James Davison, and Josh Palicki. All right, for this race, my pick will be 10-1, Chase Elliott. I'm surprised that his odds are in double digits. I think this is a race where he can perform well. I don't think there's as much value on Harvick or Busch, although they'd be good bets. But I think that Elliott at 10-1 will be good value for him to win the Goodyear 400 from Darlington. Alrighty, now I'm going to do the latest news and notes. I am going to try to be quick here. There's some goofy stuff that I want to hit on, though. Nick Saban trolled Jimbo Fisher's bold claim. As Jimbo predicted that A&M will beat Alabama this season, and Saban goes, in golf? That's so funny. The NFL Players Association fires back on the workout policy, as they say the league is gutless to use Juwan James's Achilles injury as scare tactic in email obtained by ESPN. Jake Ellinger, the brother of Sam Ellinger, was found dead on Thursday, according to police in Austin, Texas. That's a sad story. The younger Ellinger was a talented player in Texas as a linebacker. Thoughts and prayers go out to Sam and the rest of the Ellinger family and University of Texas. Kentucky Derby favorite Essential Quality and runner-up Mandalone will not run against Medina Spirit in the Preakness. So that is significant news in horse racing. I will have Jeff Burns back on the show on Wednesday, I believe, as we will predict the Preakness. James Harden, who is recovering from a hamstring strain, is very confident that he'll return to Brooklyn before the playoffs begin, and has been out for over a month. So we'll see if that happens. The big news of yesterday in Major League Baseball was that future Hall of Famer Albert Pujols designated for assignment by the Angels as he was batting .198 this year. I wonder what's next for Pujols. Will he go on another team or will he retire? Fabulous career if this is it. It took the Angels into year 10 of the 10-year deal. I believe this was year 10. So 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Yeah, this was year 10 of the 10-year deal. They released him mid-year or in the beginning of the year. And obviously they want to give more playing time to other players. Maybe try out Shohei Ohtani at first base. Potentially. In National League games. So if that was it for Albert Pujols, fabulous career. Stephon Diggs played through an injury last year, as he said that he had a torn oblique during the team's playoff run. That's wild. Richard Sherman could return to the 49ers, as the team and Sherman had discussions about him returning. That'd be pretty good. The Green Bay Packers are looking at quarterbacks, and Aaron Rodgers is uncertainty for OTAs. So that's something to keep an eye on. Frank Ragnow got a mega extension from the Lions. 4 years, $68 million. That's a big deal for him. He's a solid offensive lineman for the Lions. So that's a pretty hefty contract, making him the NFL's highest paid center. Gabby Williams has been suspended by the Chicago Sky for the full season, as she's currently playing overseas. That's a big loss for the Chicago Sky. And we need to get Jeff Maglicetti on the podcast. Maybe we'll have him on next week as well to preview WNBA. The Bulls got back Zach LaVine and Nikola Vucevic last night. That's good news. LeBron is likely to return to the lineup Tuesday or Wednesday of next week. I think it's going to be Tuesday against the Knicks because I think he wants to play against the Knicks. He missed the other Knicks game. So I think he's going to want to come back for this Knicks game on TNT on Tuesday night. The Chicago Bears won't play Justin Fields too soon. Matt Nagy says the worst thing we can do is put him in when he's not ready and ruin him. He's not wrong. Not wrong. But you might have to play him soon. There is a saga with the head coach with the Indiana Pacers, Bjorken, who's certainly on the hot seat, as TJ Warren requested a trade after the hire. There was an incident with a delayed charter plane. So there's a lot of drama with the head coach of the Indiana Pacers. And somebody also said that he doesn't mind embarrassing his coaches, which is really sad. The Cleveland Cavaliers staff had to praise Sexton as the staff was ordered to continually praise Colin Sexton during his rookie season. And he really hasn't broken out until this year. And speaking of the Pacers, they suspended assistant coach Greg Foster for one game and fined center Goga Batadze for an on-court exchange from Wednesday. The New York Knicks will talk to Julius Randle this offseason about a contract extension as they intend to talk to him. This is going to be interesting, whether to pay him or they could potentially trade him. This is the best year he's ever had. I think that this will be the best year he's ever had. This is a career year for Julius Randle. So I think the Knicks might be wise to trade him. I can't believe I'm saying that, but there's a case to be made that they'd be wise to trade him because this could very well just be a career year and he's not this good. And they better hope he's this good if they sign him to that extension. But if they sign him to an extension and it's not living up to it, then they're wrong. So a lot of pressure on the Knicks to make a decision with Julius Randle. The New York Rangers have been fined $250,000 for their public criticism of George Parros and the Department of Player Safety, as Gary Bettman said it was unacceptable and unfair. Well, Gary Bettman, there's a reason why a lot of people hate you. Because you failed to suspend Tom Wilson. He should have been suspended. Instead, the Rangers get fined a lofty amount for making that statement public? Come on. And I think the Rangers were right to make that statement. And many people, by the way, think that this cost John Davidson and Jeff Gorton their job. If you want to know what I think about that situation, please listen to the podcast I did with my friend Derek last night, because we don't think this had anything to do with it. And one more news item related to hockey. Kenny Albert and Eddie Olczyk will be the top team on Turner for hockey once that deal kicks in next season. So because Turner and ESPN are going to rotate the Stanley Cup Final, Kenny Albert will be the voice of the Stanley Cup Final for Turner, and Eddie Olczyk will be the lead analyst. So they're pretty much hiring the NBC top crew. And Kenny Albert, I think, got a leg up with Turner because he worked with Turner in the past occasionally. His father works for Turner. That's a big bonus. And I think that would have potentially been NBC's choice for the Stanley Cup Finals. And he might be calling the Stanley Cup Finals this season. I won't be shocked. It's either going to be him, John Forslund, or Mike Tirico. But I think it's going to be Mike Tirico if you ask me. Although, there could be a surprise person in there. You may have to wait for me to drop a potential prediction on a podcast I may have a guest on for in a couple weeks. So stay tuned for that as a possible prediction. I just have to talk myself into that. Alrighty. Now we will preview American Idol for next week a little bit. It's the top 7. Obviously, last week they did Disney. And it was a fun episode. And the theme this week is Coldplay and Mother's Dedication Week. I would love to see Arthur Gunn, perform Fix You. I think that would be the best potential performance. So it's Arthur Gunn, Caleb Kennedy, Casey Bishop, Chase Beckham, Grace Kitzler, Hunter Metz, Willie Spence. Like I said, Arthur Gunn and Fix You I think would be a great match. Paradise, I think that would be a good choice for Deshaun Gonsalves. I think that Deshaun got eliminated. I meant to say Chase. I think that Viva La Vida, I think, will fit Casey. And I think that Grace, that could be a fit for, and she could have a little bit of an alto tone in Viva La Vida. And Clocks, I think, would be a good one for Willie Spence. So it's going to be interesting to see what these guys pick. And I think that maybe something just like this could be the group. That'd be pretty cool. A Sky Full of Stars, I think, would be really good for Caleb. Adventure of a Lifetime would be good for somebody as well. So they have a lot of good songs, and it's going to be fun to see who sings what. All right, last but not least, my best bet of the day, brought to you by FanDuel. This is tough, for sure. But there's a couple that stood out. But because of the injury to Brandon Ingram, I do think that we'll see both Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid on the floor. I'm going to lay a half unit on -9.5 for the Philadelphia 76ers against the Brandon Ingram list New Orleans Pelicans. So there you have it for the show today. I'll be back tomorrow recapping everything else. On Monday, recapping everything else from the weekend from NBA, NHL, Major League Baseball. We'll recap Idol from Sunday, news and notes, and best bet. Hope you guys have a great weekend, everyone.